Hi, Mick McQuaid here to introduce SQLite. We're not going to actually use any database software until the middle of the course, but some people want to know a little bit about that software ahead of time. So here goes. So there are different kinds of databases. One way to think about databases is to divide them into categories like this: relational databases, NoSQL databases, graph databases, and a whole bunch of other kinds of databases. Now, among relational databases, we're going to use one. We're going to use a relational database. And in relational databases, the data is represented in tables, in things called tables, which look kind of like a spreadsheet. The tables have columns and rows, and the tables are related to each other, hence the name relational databases. And the tables are stored in a database. Another way we could categorize databases is to say that there are some that are embedded databases, some that are client-server databases, and some that are cloud databases. And there are some other kinds that are less popular. The difference between embedded and client-server databases is pretty simple. Embedded databases are embedded in an application. So one program, one piece of software, for example, SQLite, is embedded in every browser, like Firefox, Chrome, Safari. All those browsers have SQLite embedded in them in the application, a separate copy of SQLite in each application. Every iPhone and Android app that stores data stores it in a SQLite database embedded in the iPhone or Android app. Client-server databases, on the other hand, may be used by many applications. So here's a picture of a client-server database. The idea is, on the left we have clients. They may be a laptop, a phone, a desktop computer, or any number of any combination of these, and they're connected via a network, usually the internet, to a server that contains the data. So the idea is there are two processes. There's a client process, which is you, and the other process is the server where the data is stored. So the client sends requests to the server. You try to get data from the server, and the server sends responses to the client. And they're usually on different computers in the workplace. Usually there'll be one computer that contains the server. There actually will be several servers, but there'll be one server, and many applications on different machines will connect to that server. Client-server databases are extremely useful. They are used by enterprises, and by an enterprise we mean an entire business or an entire agency, like a governmental agency or an NGO. And an enterprise may have many applications and many users, numbering often in the tens of thousands or more. An enterprise database can serve all these users. So why don't we use a client-server database in this class? Well, we're mainly interested in the client. We're mainly interested in you. And in the workplace, the server and the communication between the client and the server are set up by IT professionals called database administrators and network administrators. And in the classroom, we would need to set that up so you would become, in a sense, a database administrator or a network administrator or some combination of both. And I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in the server or the communication between the client and server. I'm interested in the way that you get information from the database. And so we're going to use an embedded database called SQLite. And SQLite, as I say, it's an embedded relational database. And in practice, it's two things. There are two main files for SQLite. One is a library that's used by the application, and the other is a command line interface. And we're just going to use the command line interface. That's all we're interested in. And it's in a file called SQLite 3, or on Windows, sqlite3.exe. And if we install it on Mac OS, well, we don't have to because it's already installed. And you can verify this by typing which SQLite 3 in the terminal, or you can type SQLite 3 space -- version in the terminal. Installing it on Windows is a little bit more complicated. It's not installed You can download it from the sqlite.org website, and you can look in there under precompiled binaries for Windows, and you want to download the third one in that list, which is marked SQLite Tools, and unzip the file and move the files to a folder which you'll have to create called SQLite. Add SQLite to your path environment variable, and there is a very good web page devoted to this, and all you have to do to get there, you don't need to copy out this whole URL. You can just Google install SQLite on Windows, and this is one of the first hits that you'll get, and it's a very detailed answer. It's the second answer on this page. Okay, now in the next video I'll say more about SQLite details. It's going to be a much longer video, unfortunately, and I'll give some examples of actually using it. Bye until then. Thanks for watching.